Welcome to Madison, 4 days before Halloween in one of college football's greatest settings. The Badger faithful are fired up to see Monte Ball, and the Badgers put an exclamation point on their outstanding October. Today they face a Michigan State team with a season on the brink, the latest edition of a rivalry that produced two unforgettable games only a season ago.
Now we are down to 4 seconds. Cousins chucks it to the end zone. Caught. It is just short of the end zone. Instant replay. We'll take a look at this. Touchdown, Michigan State.
Oh, to the end zone. Touchdown, Wisconsin.
When Michigan State and Wisconsin have met in recent years, it has always come down to the wire. Today they meet again, and Wisconsin looks for its 22nd straight win at Camp Randall Stadium. Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Patrick along with Ed Cunningham. Janine Edwards will join us shortly. Wisconsin comes into this ball game at 6-2, but they probably would not be 6-2 if they didn't have the courage to make a couple of dramatic changes and make them early in the season.
Brett Bielema really caught a lot of people by surprise when he fired a coach 2 weeks after the season, the offensive line coach, and made a change there. And at the same time, they went from a veteran quarterback to a redshirt freshman who used to be a walk-on, and here they sit at 6-2, and a lot of that has to do with, shocker of all shockers, the running game improvement by Wisconsin. Of course, Monte Ball, who was in New York last year as a Heisman finalist, finally starting to put up the numbers that a lot of people expected from him right out of the gate. And a lot of that is because of the complimentary running of James White. White, who had 1,000 yards 2 years ago for Wisconsin, has been so explosive in the back half of the season that they have now put in the barge formation. 7 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, Ball and White in the game. We'll see that again today against Michigan State, and watch out. They said they had a few more wrinkles than what they showed against Minnesota.
For the Spartans, you know, it's been such a frustrating season, one heartbreaking loss after another, including their arch rival Michigan a week ago. But they are 4-4, and believe it or not, they still have a lot to play for.
A bowl game would be huge for this team. Very young. They could use those 15 practices, and the reason I think they will get to a bowl game is one of the best defenses in the country. It's hard to believe how good they have been defensively when you put it in comparison to how much they have struggled on offense. You almost never see this much of a spread between offense and defense. The Spartans have been spectacular on that side of the ball this season.
It's been 7 years since Bielema was chosen by Barry Alvarez to replace him. He's already number 2 on Wisconsin's all-time win list. Is a remarkable 66-21 record. Wisconsin will kick off. They won the toss and deferred until the second half. Le'Veon Bell is back with Kyle Ellsworth. Bell at the goal line with a running start. Taken down at the 21-yard line. Wisconsin has turned to redshirt freshman Joel Stavey at quarterback. Excuse me, it's Michigan State. Their quarterback at junior, first-year starter Andrew Maxwell. He is following Kirk Cousins, so his numbers are going to suffer a little in comparison. Still, he's 3rd in the conference in passing yards.
And here's a young man that the coaches from Michigan State want to see more out of when the play breaks down. Keep your eyes downfield. Look for some bigger plays. They're starting to get more development out of their receiver position, and that's important.
Maxwell comes out throwing, and that one is stripped from his big tight end, a key man in their offense, Deion Sims, a tight end who's 6'5", 285 pounds. He's operating with a bad ankle. He's just not 100% yet, and that takes away a lot from their offense.
A lot, especially on the edge run game. Le'Veon Bell, although at 250 pounds, does like to kind of bounce it outside, and Sims at 285 pounds, very good at setting that edge. So they've missed
that edge blocking while Sims has been hobbled, as well as his receiving skill.
2nd and 10 from the 21. Bell. Maybe a yard. Let's take a look at our impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A, Ed.
Well, for Michigan State, Aaron Burbridge is a true freshman who missed the first almost 3 weeks of the season with an injury, but he has come onto the scene and been a huge help for Maxwell. And Le'Veon Bell, he had that huge explosion against Boise State earlier at the beginning of the year. Tapered off a little bit, but it was a lot to do with this offensive line. They've had 6 different lineups up front. We just mentioned Sims. So down the stretch, as this offensive line gets better and the receiving core gets more experience, I'd expect Michigan State to be on a pretty good upswing offensively as this thing finishes up.
3rd and long from Maxwell. Pressure coming. They got to him. The ball's loose. Still on the ground. Michigan State got it back at the 19-yard line. It was just laying there, waiting for somebody to see it. David Gilbert stripped it from Maxwell.
And it was left tackle Donovan Clark going one-on-one with David Gilbert, and it just late out of his stance. A bad technique by Clark. He's a freshman who's in there because Dan France, the usual starting left tackle, is out with a concussion. They said he may play a bit today, but right away you see the same problem Michigan State has had all year. That in and out on their offensive line makes them pay on the first possession.
Low line drive kick. They get a break. It takes a big hop and can't be fielded. Ends up being a 52-yard kick. Nothing extra for style points. Mike Sadler got that kick away. Wisconsin is going with Joel Stavy at quarterback. He's 4-1 as the starter. Says the game is starting to slow down for him. They made the change because the transfer from Maryland, Danny O'Brien, was ineffective, didn't protect the ball well enough. So they turned to the redshirt freshman, and it has worked.
Young man has a very gifted arm. Watching him on film, and Wisconsin, very similar to Michigan State, struggles on the offensive line. They had some injuries at wide receiver, but Stave can really sling it.
Gain of about 2 on the running play is Monte Ball, who is 4th in the country in gross rushing yards, 982. Both Ball and Bell, the tailbacks for their respective teams, should easily go over 1,000 yards today.
And Monte Ball has had a wonderful October. Now, the competition hasn't been great. It's not the top teams they were playing in conference, but they needed a little run there for the offensive line to get some comfort, and he is starting to run like he did middle to end of last year.
White again. Trying to push it outside. An excellent play by Twan Jones, who's getting the start at outside linebacker on the weak side. Let's take a look at today's impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Jared Abbrederis is really the only receiver who's had any productivity at all for Wisconsin. He'll have a lot of one-on-one opportunities because Michigan State obviously expecting a lot of ball in white. Chris Borland and Mike Taylor, 2 of the finest linebackers in the Big Ten. They'll have their hands full today against 250-pound Le'Veon Bell.
Brett Bielema says we have to be better on 3rd down. Michigan State on their side of the ball, one of the best. Stavy throws underneath, and they've got Kenzel Doe for the 2nd time in this ball game. Haven't seen a ball thrown toward Abbrederis yet, and he's their big play guy.
Well, they're probably setting a little something up.
Yeah.
Remember, these receivers are very good blockers, and here's Abbrederis. He's kind of running not a decoy route, but when the guy runs with him, it clears out. And again, this is an accurate throw on time. I've been very impressed with the throwing ability of Stavy, and as he gets more experience, I think they're going to start finding ways to use this gifted arm in different varieties.
His teammate says he's getting much more comfortable in the huddle, handles things more confidently.
And that looks like a nothing play, but for a young quarterback, take a snap and do a 1-step drop, throw the ball on the outcut on 1st down and pick up 5 yards. Those are the types of things when you can do those things offensively. Now as a defense, it's so hard to think, what are they going to do on 1st down? 2nd and 10, they could throw it. If you have confidence in a guy that he can throw that outcut and he'll throw it on time, you can start calling those things on 1st down and change up quite drastically on offense.
Second down, call it 6 from the 41. Ball with both arms wrapped around the football, gets inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line. Both of these teams like to run the ball a lot and throw short passes. The clock runs and runs. We only have 14 seconds left in a very rapidly moving first quarter.
And whatever they do, if they run it here or let this run out, which I think they're going to run out, I would like to see, if I were a Wisconsin fan, some kind of chance here. You've got 3rd and 3. You're probably in 4-down territory in the field. Let's see if they go play action and long when we come back.
We'll find out when we come back. End of a quarter here at Camp Randall. Nothing, Wisconsin and Michigan State. Early in this game as we start the second quarter, big 3rd down here for Wisconsin as they have the ball at the Michigan State 38-yard line.
I think play action is really nice here.
Start out of the eye. That pass underneath at the shoe tops, caught at the 32. Derek Watt, the younger brother of JJ, went in motion from his fullback position and out as a receiver.
And made a very good catch. That's a wonderful throw because it was tight coverage. So the quarterback has to throw that ball down and away from the closing defense. But you don't expect a fullback who was playing linebacker as early as August to be able to go and take that off the top of the grass.
The coaches were fighting over him, but it looks like he's an offensive player now. They said he's really taken to it naturally. Here's that direct snap to White. White only gets a couple of yards, and they used the quarterback Stavi as a decoy. Went out in the flat. Let's check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, Mike, you guys were talking about what a cool customer quarterback Joel Stave is, and I can attest to that. I spent a few minutes with him at practice on Thursday, and he's just totally unruffled by anything. But offensive coordinator Matt Canada summed it up best when he said, I'm not sure if he realizes the weightiness of what it means to be the Wisconsin quarterback, and please, guys, don't tell him.
I really like his demeanor. I mean, a guy who can go out and play, be that calm, and throw like that. It's a perfect strike, and it's a touchdown as Pedersen, unmolested, into the end zone. He just got lost in the secondary, and Stavi very calmly and coolly drilled him between the 4 and the 8. I guess you can be calm as a quarterback when nobody gets near you, can't you?
Yeah, and there's a blown coverage by the defense. But this offensive line, this is a very good defense they're going against. Plenty of time. There has not been a ton of pressure so far on Stavi.
Kyle French, 20 out of 22 on PATs this year. Knocks it through, and Wisconsin draws first blood. Stavi with his 6th touchdown pass. Low line drive kick. Bell just short of the goal line. Nick Bell has a seam up the sideline near the 30 and forced out of bounds. Michigan State will start from its own 29-yard line. Pass out in the flat, incomplete. Texas Tech and Kansas State, that is an interesting matchup. Both of those quarterbacks are terrific. Bell. Well, it's not like you're a marked man or anything in this game. If you're Bell or Ball, they know you're going to get it most of the time.
Yeah, this is a little different than what we saw when we covered Clemson last week and what they do offensively.
91 plays.
But it is really amazing as Le'Veon Bell goes over 1,000 yards for the first time in his career. Congratulations, Mr. Bell. That is a big, big deal. But both of these teams, and they realize a lot of respect on both sides for those great games, but their offense is incredibly similar. And again, Michigan State in a position 3rd long that they don't like to be in.
Maxwell trying to throw for the first down and will have enough through a bullet complete to Lippett.
And
Lippett on that slant had enough momentum to get the first down.
And Lippett is a guy as a sophomore that is also starting to elevate his game. As I watched the tape against Michigan last week, they throw a lot to Lippett underneath. He runs a lot of hitches, a lot of slants. He's a big target at 6'3", so you're starting to see Maxwell have a little more comfort with a couple of guys on outside. You already had Burbridge, now Lippett getting into the mix.
Bell on first down, straight ahead, pushing the pile for about 3 yards. You know, you mentioned Mark D'Antonio talking about if 5 plays had gone the other way. You hear a lot of coaches say that, and they leave it there. He said, that being said, woulda, coulda, shoulda doesn't cut it around here, and that's what that is.
And the one thing that, if you've been around Mark D'Antonio and his program, you know, he doesn't change, and his coaches don't change. They treat the players the same way, win or loss. And because they've been here for a while and they've built so much trust with their players, nobody's bailing.
That's right.
Their chemistry's still good, and you see a team where the defense is excellent, the offense struggles. Sometimes you see some finger pointing. That's not been the case for Michigan State.
They stack the wide receivers to the near side. The deep out's going to be out of bounds.
Yeah,
it was a good throw to Lippett, but it was just a step too far from Maxwell.
Yeah, you got to keep that ball in bounds, though. Got a little too much air on it. And right as Mumphrey is going out of bounds, awfully close, but just a touch. And in truth, Mumphrey, and you see NFL guys work on that lean, keeping their feet in. That's something that Mumphrey as a sophomore can work on, but that throw has to be left in bounds. And again, here goes another third and a little beyond medium for an offense not built for it.
4-man rush. Maxwell throws underneath, and he's going to have the first down to Lippett. Got just enough. 3 catches for the 6'3" sophomore.
And great protection. There was a line stunt in the middle between the 2 defensive tackles that was handled well. And it's a kind of a double crossing route. A lot of teams call this scissors because the 2 guys kind of cut by each other as they run. And Lippett starting to look like a guy who's going to end up with, you know, 50, 60, 70 catch seasons if he works the underneath routes that well.
You know, in this style, I think we have to point out again, Deion Sims is a guy they really missed, that enormous tight end who makes such a big target in the short passing game. He's not 100%. Here comes pressure on the quarterback. They throw it right across the middle, and that's the fullback, Lawrence Thomas. This guy, 295 pounds. He's a fullback.
Watch the move that he puts on Ethan Armstrong as he goes to release. It looks like he's going to block one-on-one, throws his shoulder, and you see Armstrong almost broke his ankles. And here's a guy who's a former defensive lineman. That was pretty crafty right there, the move that he put on Armstrong.
Stop.
Oh, boy.
A 12-man huddle is going to cost them a huge play.
And the red zone has just been the hardest part of the field, right? Oh yeah, you can't leave him in there too long. You can have a guy come in, but as soon as he's in, he's got to go out, and the 12th man stayed there. And here come the troubles again. Once Michigan State gets inside the 30, they tend to start going backwards.
They'll go on the flanker around the Hill. A flag goes down as Hill is dumped in the backfield by Ethan Armstrong. And Wisconsin did a great job of staying at home on that one.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 59. 10-yard previous spot. First down.
That's Dan France, who had missed a ball game because of a concussion.
France a little hobbled with a knee injury as he dips inside. The problem is he's going to lose contact with Ethan Armstrong. If he would have continued blocking, you can block in the back if it's the continuation of the block, but Armstrong got separation, and then when France went to finish, he pushed him in the back.
And they haven't changed the yardsticks yet. It should be second down. Now they have. 2nd and 21. Pressure coming again, but there's a complete pass. That's Sims. Whoa, what a target. and he can just screen off defenders. So on 2nd and 21, they pick up 18 to the tight end, who's still got that gimpy ankle.
And again, very nice protection by this offensive line. A little bit of a stunt in the middle, and that is picked up on that left side. Boy, that was really well done by the left side of that offensive line. And Sims, who's not quite 100% with that ankle, didn't have to run a cut. He just had to go sit down and be the big target that he is. But the offensive line did a nice job to get this to 3rd and short.
3rd and about 1.5 yards. They fake it to Bell, trying to throw it in the flat. Now they'll throw it to the end zone and incomplete. It was intended for Derek Hobing. They wanted to go out in the flat and get the 1st down after the play fake, but that was covered.
And I like the play call. They went with a play action pass, but just a little bit of pressure. And this is what they want from Maxwell. Under pressure, we need better throws. Again, that ball was thrown to a 6'7" guy in the end zone, but when it's thrown out of bounds, you're not giving that guy a chance to go make the play.
Conroy on for 34 yards. Conroy comes through. He's 16 out of 22 in field goals this year. Well, once a Badger standout, now he's an NFL superstar. J.J. Watt with Janine Edwards coming up after this.
Wait, is that what you study in geology?
Brachs and minerals. At least that was the rumor. Melvin Gordon deep to receive. And he'll let this one kick through the end zone. And we go to Janine Edwards with a special guest.
Yeah, you named it before the break, Mike. Former Badger star, and he is now leading the NFL in sacks. J.J. Watt returning to his alma mater. I got to ask you, because you only have played on the defensive side of the ball for 2 years after you made the switch from tight end. What do you think has made you a better defensive player?
I think it's a mentality thing. I really enjoy the defensive side of the ball because you create your own destiny every play. You don't have to have a quarterback throw you the ball. You get to go out there and get after it every single play.
Now, you've given a lot of credit to D-line coach here at Wisconsin, Charlie Partridge. How did he help prepare you for the NFL?
Coach Partridge is phenomenal. He took me from a tight end to obviously a very good defensive lineman, and I owe him a lot of credit for teaching me footwork, technique, hand placement, all those things. He did a great job.
And you're doing a great job. Now, so speaking of making switches, your little brother, Derek Watt, plays here for the Badgers right now, and he made a switch this year. He's now playing fullback. Are you surprised by that?
I'm not surprised. He's doing really, really well. For him just switching the position a month or two ago to see how well he's playing, it's great. He's an extremely hard worker, and I knew he'd pick it up quick.
And, you know, Coach Bielema said from day one when he made the switch, he said he was gifted. So thanks for stopping by. We appreciate it. And, guys, there's another Watt in the pipeline. TJ, he'll be joining the Badgers next year.
Once you get one like that, you'd like to have about 7 siblings down the road, Janine. Our thanks to J.J. Watt, and boy, is he having a great year in the NFL with Houston. Aberderis makes his first catch. They haven't been able to find him downfield, so they threw to him in the flat.
Well, and Derek Watt, the fullback brother of J.J., probably not in on a 3rd and 5. But this young man, from day one, it was a natural for him, especially in pass blocking. That was the thing that Brett Bielema said is his first one-on-one pass blocking drill. He was excellent. He just got it right away, and it's not a very natural thing to do.
And a guy like Stavi would appreciate that. Now Stavi breaks out of the pocket, trying to stretch for the 1st down. He's going to be a couple of yards short. That's a heck of an effort on his part. Golston had a shot at him and couldn't bring him down, and then Rush knocked his legs out from under him.
He's looking for a very short route, and when he goes to bail, he got caught up on the leg of Havenstein, it looked like, potentially on that side. Excuse me, Ryan Groy got caught up on his leg and was very lucky to pick up any yardage.
Low snap. Not going to be able to get the kick off. He did, but it's partially blocked and then recovered by Michigan State. Still the ball is loose and down at the 10-yard line. There is a flag down on the play at the 30-yard line.
Well, You're not surprised if you've watched Michigan State, Wisconsin over the last couple of seasons that the punting game may have an impact on this one. Of course, last year in the Big Ten championship game, Michigan State went for a block late in the game, got running into the punter that gave Wisconsin a first down and ultimately the 3-point win. Mistake that.
Holding. Number 5 on the offense. That penalty's declined. Ball belongs to Michigan State. First and goal. First and 10.
And it was a low snap, but the mistake that Meyer makes, watch as it's rolling around, watch him look up right there. It's so hard to tell a young man you can't look at the rush. You have to get the ball in your possession. But watch as Meyer looks up. It's not a great snap, but Michigan State had a safe defense in and no rush. If he wouldn't have looked up and just picked it up, I think he may have been able to get that off.
Bell. They force him outside. Nice cut by Bell to get inside the 10-yard line. And another mark.
Yeah, they're going to get Jack Allen, the center, with a tackle.
This has plagued Michigan State all year. They've had to settle in the red zone for field goal tries, not getting touchdowns.
Holding. Offense number 66. 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
It's Allen who moved from guard to center. And that's going to back him up after getting a great break on the punt block.
And he goes to pull out. And right there, as he locks up with number 12 southward, he just throws him to the turf, and just a huge mistake for Michigan State. It's almost impossible to put into context how much they have struggled once they get inside the 30, but same old song here.
Maxwell with time, and that one is batted down by the middle linebacker, Chris Borland. Great dive, and got the right hand out and got a paw on it.
Borland, a guy at 5'11", 242 pounds, has been a great pass rusher at times in his career, really working on the better part of his game, and that's just a wonderful read. He was running out to get into the flat, and he saw that Bell came across, and he stopped on a dime and came back and made a wonderful play on the ball. What a great read by the linebacker.
He was a high school safety, said he covered a lot of guys as flags go down. This is going to be moved again.
5 yards, still second down.
And Michigan State's going the wrong direction. So he used everything he learned as a high school safety. Said all he did was blitz or go back in coverage. Never played the run.
And admitted, I didn't know the game. I didn't understand it because I just ran around and did everything. It was athletic. And so he's had to kind of settle down as a junior. They used him as a rush end a couple of years ago at 5'11", very explosive guy. And now with these linebackers from Wisconsin, and now you're second and long, you can start to get active and run under some stuff.
Maxwell caught from behind, and down he goes. David Gilbert got his hand up around the back of the helmet, and if we see a replay on this, he may have grabbed the back of the helmet initially, at least, to get Maxwell down.
And this is the second time that we've seen Gilbert run by the left tackle position in this game. The first was Donovan Clark, and now Dan France. France just got collapsed a little bit. That wasn't a great rush by Gilbert, but France, with that bad knee, you can see he just is not able to bend his legs and get down in the position necessary. And now I think you got to think 10 or 15 yards to make it an easier field goal try for Conroy.
It's only 3rd and 33. They put 4 wide receivers to the near side and then throw back to the left, and that's incomplete. So what a disaster of a possession this has been. After getting that huge break on the bad punt snap, you're in business at the 11-yard line, and you end up sending out either the punt or field goal unit from the 34.
Yeah,
send the punting unit.
I think that with the defense that Mark D'Antonio has, he just doesn't want a block kick here, and I don't blame him.
I'm thinking the other way. Points are so precious if you have a chance, because they're not scoring touchdowns.
But you're not guaranteed it, and if you get a block, I really understand this conservative decision by D'Antonio.
End over end, as the punters have become so adept at kicking the point of the ball instead of the middle.
Score Wisconsin 7. Michigan State.
A little ragged end of the
if you were
first
going to
half.
throw it, why not use the timeout and see if you can't get one, throw one up. There is a Hail Mary history with this game, right?
Yes, there is. Welcome back to Camp Randall Stadium in Wisconsin. 7-3, the Badgers on top. But it hasn't gone the way most people thought. You've got two of the best running backs in the country. They have been shut down by both of these defenses. Who gets it going in the second half?
I think whichever team can get something over the top in the passing game. I think both offensive coordinators on both sides have to start saying, even if we don't hit some stretch plays, we have to start calling them. Because both of these defenses, there's 11 guys within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. And with the type of athletes, especially Michigan State and Wisconsin at their linebacker positions, you just can't have that many bodies around the line of scrimmage and expect to be able to run it.
Wisconsin will get the ball to start the third quarter. Ed, you were talking about those big plays. The only one I can think of that they tried for was the one that was overthrown to Abradaris. Melvin Gordon at the goal line. Still on his feet across the 30 to the 32. Good, tough running by Melvin Gordon. Abradaris is the guy they use to stretch the field. He averages 19 yards a catch. Stavi under pressure, and Golston got him. Let's check in with Janine.
Well, guys, I spoke to Mark D'Antonio, and you know they have had 3 tough, close losses in Big Ten play by a total of 6 points. And he said they've hinged on a play here or there. They've hinged on the inches. And he said this game is going the exact same way. He said we've had some blown coverages, some penalties. He said you cannot be giving a team like Wisconsin these kind of edges.
Well, you really can't, Janine. And players, Stavi is down. And that's going to get Danny O'Brien up, who started the season at the quarterback, the transfer from Maryland. But once you lose 3 or 4 ball games by a couple of points, you end up in another 3-point, 4-point ball game. It starts to occur to you, here we go again.
Absolutely, especially after the tough loss to Michigan last week. But let's take a look at what happened to Stave. Nice job at the end of the play by Golston finishing. He gets double teamed, spins back to the inside. And it looked like as the 280-pound Golston goes down, he's wrapped the left arm of Stave. So the first thing that hit was the top of that shoulder. So now O'Brien, who you mentioned earlier in the game, had been benched earlier in the season because of turnovers, comes back out. Another guy that we could see is also Kurt Phillips, a senior, who has played some this year, but the coaches did say that they would go with O'Brien in this situation.
Fortunately for Stavi, it is his non-throwing shoulder, but you can see how he's holding that arm.
When you get tucked in and you can't put that elbow out, sometimes you land on that elbow, but when you get tucked in and you've got a man the size of Golston landing on top of you, it crushes your body down into that shoulder, and I think that's what happened there to Joel Stavi.
Golston is a guy who's had a disappointing season. He was on all of the preseason watch lists, but he's made a couple of big plays in this game. And now comes Danny O'Brien, who graduated from Maryland in 3 years. That's why he was able to transfer and not have to sit out. He was either really good or really not good at Maryland when he played. And the reason he was benched, he didn't protect the ball very well. Almost had it taken out of his hands before he could hand it off there. Tremendous penetration by the Michigan State defense.
Well, the Nikos Allen does a wonderful job of timing this and running through. There he is right here. But he's kind of moving around and completely unblocked. The offensive line, the H-back to that side, nobody knew where he was, and Ball doing everything he can trying to get something out of a play where you just let a guy run through.
It's like the defense is saying to itself, well, they're not going to throw first down when a new quarterback comes in, so let's go get him.
But you've got, it's a veteran guy in O'Brien. You're going to have to pull the string.
O'Brien rolls to his left. He's very athletic, but he's not going to be able to get away. And there's that guy again, Max Bullock. The guy is just so good at everything defensively. the leading tackler on this ball club. He can play the pass. You saw the speed he had.
This is a guy who is just feeling the game, sees it right away. O'Brien just got to throw that away. He needs to see that he doesn't have somebody open and throw that away so you don't get the big lost yardage play. O'Brien tries to flip it out of bounds, but it was too late.
2 sacks for Bulla. Meyer, low line drive kick. Returnable, but it bounces sideways and will be downed by Wisconsin, giving Michigan State tremendous field position after a punt of 46 yards. And Joel Stave going to the locker room to be evaluated. The freshman quarterback has had a tremendous afternoon and leaves with a 4-point lead. All along, they have been very comfortable with him in the pocket with good protection, those kind of plays. But when we talked to them, they just said over and over, when you have an opportunity as an athlete, if you're forced out of the pocket, you've got to run or you've got to throw. You've got to make plays. He hadn't been doing it.
And there has been a time where sometimes you've got to run. There was a 3rd and 2 against Michigan. We had a 3rd and 2 earlier. It looked like you may have been a run for it. But these are the plays that if you can keep your eyes downfield when things break, that's where the big plays are. Maxwell's not a 4-5 guy. So on those plays, you want his eyes downfield.
Bell goes in motion. They set him up as a flanker on the outside. Now they throw to him. Maxwell did not get rid of that ball in a hurry. And how about that for a stiff arm? He just threw Devin Smith out of the way, picked up another 3 or 4 yards. But Maxwell sort of double clutched on the throw, and that allowed coverage to get there on Le'Veon Bell.
I don't think he had it. I think he caught it and it didn't feel right in his hand, so he had to readjust it. But this guy is so powerful when he gets that stiff arm out. But here you are again, 3rd and medium. They're in the shotgun, so you're not going to have a run fake, but maybe this could be a draw to Bell.
Look out for Deion Sims, too, the big tight end in the slot. He's the guy that comes in motion. Kid's enormous. Pressure coming, they pick it up. Maxwell directs traffic. Underthrows and incomplete. Smith nearly picked it off.
And for Maxwell, this we saw a moment ago a breakdown and he makes a play. This time he went to Burbridge came open and Maxwell was waving him to go long and Burbridge had already gone long, and it was that moment that allowed Smith to catch up to the throw.
Line drive kick to Abrederis. You don't want him in the open field. Abrederis splits the defense and gets up to the 49. A 34-yard return after a line drive punt of 42. Special teams in games like this are huge, and Abrederis always seems to find a way to come through. The Abrederis punt return has put Wisconsin in great field position. They'll start from their own 47, leading 7-3, only a minute 26 to go 3rd quarter. Even a field goal would be huge in a low-scoring game like this. Monte Ball, the single setback. And through the hands of Pedersen, the tight end, as he went to the ground.
And one of the things that Danny O'Brien has struggled with throughout his career is accuracy. Sometimes he's on, sometimes he's off. And that ball there, he had Pedersen running free. Leads him, keeps it up. Pedersen probably picks up 5 or 10 more yards after the catch.
Wisconsin hustles to the line. Michigan trying to line up. White on the direct snap over his head, and White will cover it up back at the 30. That looked like the barge formation when they went with all their big personnel, and White took the shotgun snap, but it went over his head.
Yeah, they brought in Tyler March and Zach Mathias, and you're going to see 4 offensive linemen to the right, and it was a hard snap, and it was high. You can have it high, but you can't have it hard. Because once it gets on that guy, especially a guy like White, who's not a quarterback, he's used to catching it every time, you've got to take something off of that snap.
Well, that time the Barge ran aground, and now Danny O'Brien has 3rd and a mile. He'll throw short to Abradaris, but that's only out to the 42-yard line. 5 yards short of getting back to the original line of scrimmage. And given great field position after the Abradaris punt return, Wisconsin squanders it.
And as crazy as this sounds, because people remember the Big Ten championship game when Michigan State tried to block that punt late and got the running into the punter that extended it. I think Michigan State's got to do something on special teams, and nothing like a block punt to change some momentum. And they have 10 guys at the line of scrimmage. I would expect the Spartans to come after this one.
Well, the battle of field position is being won by Wisconsin. If you're Michigan State, you probably don't think you can go 85 or 90 yards to get a touchdown. End of the 3rd quarter. One of the traditions here is at Wisconsin, as they start the 4th quarter, they play jump around and the fans really get into it. But the Michigan State players tried to grab a little of the thunder as they got into it as well on the sideline. And why not? Meyer to kick it away. Low line drive kick. .38-yard punt. And it will be down near the 20-yard line. Wisconsin and Michigan State met in last year's inaugural Big Ten championship game. In the 1st quarter, it's Monte Ball ran in a pair of 6-yard touchdown runs. Ball had 4 scores in the game, the last coming on a 7-yard run in the 4th quarter under 4 minutes to play. The Badgers were up, but late in the game, Wisconsin had to punt, and Isaiah Lewis ran into Brad Nortman. The Badgers were then able to run out the clock to win the first ever Big Ten championships. 4th quarter, and Michigan State on offense has 1 field goal to show for its efforts. Check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, Mike and Ed, after spending a lengthy time in the locker room, Wisconsin quarterback Joel Stave has been declared done for the day with a shoulder injury.
Janine, that is a shame. Hopefully the young man will not be out long, but you could tell what pain he was in, I think emotionally as well as physically, as he left the field.
Guy who was given a chance was a walk-on here, and came into camp, and it was a 3-guy race between Danny O'Brien, Kurt Phillips, and Joel Stave. And one of the reasons they went with him is because of his calm demeanor. They just wanted that calming influence, but you could see that emotion coming out after what was a clean play by William Golston.
Maxwell with good protection. Did the ball come loose? Yes, it did. It was bobbled on the way out. Devin Smith popped Mumphrey. And that was a nice throw, though.
But Devin Smith timed it out perfectly. Devin Smith, a guy who broke his foot last year going into his first senior year, so he redshirted, came back for his 2nd senior year. In the back half of the season, he's been playing wonderful. Finished the play, and look what may happen if he doesn't make that hit. Mumphrey comes down, and it's a 1st down Michigan State instead of another 3rd and long.
Big play here, 3rd and long. Maxwell to the shotgun. Wisconsin comes with a blitz. They were trying to set up a screen, but because of the blitz, Wisconsin had guys right in the area, and Danny O'Brien did the smart thing and threw it away.
What a wonderful job by Borland and Taylor, the 2 linebackers, as they were coming on the blitz. They saw what was being set up. They put the brakes on, backed up, and Maxwell had nowhere to go.
Now you've got to kick to Abradaris again. The last 5 drives for Michigan State, they have only been able to scratch out 2 first downs. High and short and out of bounds. That run may be more than 6 yards for Monte Ball. They'll give him 7. That is the longest rush of the ball game. Bulla stopped him.
And I have a feeling that we're going to see this play again. I think you're going to see a bunch of that. That was a really nice job by Robert Burge, a guy who's been battling injuries his whole career. Got a wonderful block on that play.
This is the very essence of smash mouth football here. And Bell is swallowed up in the backfield. William Golston fired through and got him. He has authored some big plays today.
And this was a double pinch. You know, you're talking about Pat Narduzzi and how smart he is. Watch the defensive ends. They're saying, look, if you're going to run inside, we're going to take our defensive ends and drop them down. Rush is there. If Golston doesn't make the tackle for a loss, Rush is going to. Wisconsin's offensive line was not ready for the defensive ends to pinch.
Michigan State has 9 tackles for loss in this game. Another huge third down, 3rd and long from the 44. Blitz coming. O'Brien throws underneath. That's going to be short of a first down. It was on target to Kenzel Doe, but he was flattened by Johnny Adams. Remember, Adams was shaken up earlier in the ballgame. Good to see him back in there and playing at his elite level again. And Wisconsin goes 3 and out. That's been a continuing theme.
And that was just wonderful defense there. Great reaction by Adams. We saw him go out of the game earlier. You could see how quickly he breaks on the ball and why both Todd McShay and Mel Kiper have him ranked so high as a potential NFL draftee.
Meyer to kick to Sims. Sims will have to make the fair catch inside the 15. Maxwell off the fingertips of Mumphrey at the sideline. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary.
Unbelievable. A couple of 1,000-yard rusher, actually 3,000-yard rushers, because remember White did it back in 2010. And Bell is just, he's just blowing them away with his 3.4 yard per carry average. This has not been the Big 12 today with these offenses, that's for sure.
Michigan State has started inside its own 19-yard line its last 4 possessions. They're just not geared to do this. Maxwell wants a screen. That ball came out. And Wisconsin has it. Lawrence Thomas, the fullback, on the screen, and he coughed it up. There's the play, and it came on defense. Mike Taylor, the All-American candidate at linebacker, knocked it loose. The question will be, was he down?
Taylor, a guy who goes hard through every play, never gives up on this. He's got his right arm in there. Tough, you can't tell from that side, but this is the one you're going to be able to see it. That knocked it out. I thought it was Taylor in there with his right hand that pulled the ball out, but that ball was knocked free by Thomas, and clearly Thomas was not down when Cromartie knocks this ball loose. So
your only recourse is to hold Wisconsin to a field goal. Otherwise, you have very little chance of winning this game.
Or make them go backwards and have to punt. Haven't we already seen a punt?
They've done that.
Offensive series started on the 11.
But get ready for a big face full of Monte Ball.
I think you go for a play action here. If you're Wisconsin, you get one in the end zone, the game's over.
They got the barge formation on, and White takes the direct snap, cuts to the outside. White to the goal line, touchdown. There is a flag down. I guarantee you this is coming back. There was a hold on the edge. The tight end, Sam Arneson, with one of the great holds of all time.
Yeah, and he didn't need to hold, actually. He held through the end of the play, and it looked to me.
Holding. Offense, number 87. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
Well, maybe it's Wozniak 85. It is not 87. So they got the number wrong. But it was on the edge. And White had already bounced it to the outside. Watch right here as White goes to bounce this ball outside. That's Wozniak working one-on-one, and right there at the end he's holding Johnny Adams, and there was no reason to hold him. White had already broken contain.
This one on a little misdirection. Abradaris will take it back inside the 20-yard line, and he's forced out of bounds.
And give Adams credit, because what coaches tell you all the time, when you're being held, don't give up on the play, become demonstrative, so that when the official that has that edge call sees it, he knows you're being held. That was well done.
Now they get the regular personnel back in there with O'Brien. He gives it to Ball, and Ball is taken down at the line of scrimmage. Bulla made another tackle.
As crazy as this sounds for Wisconsin, I'd take my time. I'm not even sure I'm worried about a first down. I'd burn as much as I can, kick the field goal, because a 7-point lead, you probably
I'm with
win.
you.
Yeah, as crazy as that sounds. Let that play clock burn. Start eating this clock up.
It's already down to 6:49. They had it overloaded to the left side of the line of scrimmage. 6 men.
I think
going to lose a couple of yards.
I think he got
and boy, the crowd didn't like it at all. Golston in on another play, and the barge formation has produced very little.
But this, the barge formation, give Pat Narduzzi and his staff all the credit in the world. When Wisconsin pulled it out against Minnesota, Minnesota had no idea how to line up, and Michigan State's not only lined up well, but they've shut it down.
This will be a 39-yard field goal attempt by Kyle French. And just got it inside the left upright. Wisconsin extends its lead to a touchdown with 6:06 to play at Camp Randall.
If Michigan State ever needed a big kickoff return,
this would be it.
Yeah, and I don't think you do anything crazy. You know, the kickoff reverses, those never work. I think maybe you hopefully got your guys ready to stay on their blocks.
Nick Hill waits at the goal line, along with Kyler Ellsworth. 6:06 to play in a one-touchdown game. Hill a yard deep. Started out and then took a knee. He was so close to making the wrong decision. Don't you get the feeling this is it? They either score on this drive or they don't at all. Maxwell out in the flat. And throwing the ball out there when there are 2 defenders waiting on Le'Veon Bell is not going to get you anything. Taylor and Cromartie were just camped in that area.
One thing that Michigan State looks like they don't do much of in their passing game is threaten that middle part of the field between the safeties and the linebackers. It seems like everything is kind of to the outside, and Wisconsin has not had to defend much in the middle of the field.
Maxwell again goes out into the flat to Fowler this time. They need to reach the 35 for a first down. Devin Smith makes the tackle. It's going to be 3rd and 3.
This is a tough down and distance for Michigan State, but
I think not having Sims to get tight end with that bad
ankle. That's a big deal. Yeah. This feels like maybe a delayed draw. Let the defense rush up the field.
Now they've got Sims in the slot. He'll come in motion. An enormous target. And they throw to him. He's got to get to the 35, and he uses that huge frame, 6'5", 285, to lean forward and get past the sticks.
Good use of a guy who's got some limited mobility, because Sims didn't have to do a whole lot. He came over to the left and just ran a little outcut, but very lucky, because Taylor almost made him short of that goal. He being Sims, should have probably run that route beyond the sticks in case he was tackled right when he caught it.
The other thing going on here, they have used an inordinate amount of time to get 10 yards and a first down. Blitz coming. Over the middle, caught by Mumphrey, and Mumphrey across midfield into Wisconsin territory. That is a big play, 17 yards.
And now you got to start, if you're the offensive coaches for Michigan State, you have to nitpick stuff like this. We get something open, we throw it, and Mumphrey has to leave his feet to make the catch. Now, give credit to Borland. Borland knocked him off a little bit, but you want your guys running through that and running after the catch.
Four-man rush against Maxwell. Steps up and throws to Mumphrey at the sideline. Mumphrey gets out of bounds at the 36.
I like what Dan Rochar, the offensive coordinator, is doing here. You almost wonder, why didn't they do this earlier? Maxwell starting to look like he's getting into the rhythm. The ball is getting there much faster and accurately. It looks like they've got tired of running into that red wall.
Necessity is often the mother of invention.
But now if you're Chris Ash, and defensive coordinator for Wisconsin, maybe you start bringing some pressure.
They show a four-man front. Maxwell under pressure, and they got him. The sack goes to Pat Muldoon. Pressure came from Gilbert, and there is a flag down on the play as well.
In this one, you'd have about a 2nd and 15, or because this is a, I believe, 10-yard spot of the foul.
Oh, the down so much more.
Personal foul, face mask, offense number 59. And penalties decline. Second down.
The down is more important.
Well, you'd have got 17 yards of field position because the flag was thrown 7 yards behind where the tackle was, and there's in the middle of the line. I don't mind the, yeah, personal foul's a 15-yarder. I think I may have taken the penalty.
Maxwell after the pump fake and the perfect throw on target to Lippett. And that's going to be enough for a first down. What a throw by Maxwell, and Lippett extended as far as he could.
Lippett, a guy who's coming on strong in his sophomore year. Wonderful catch. Borland had good coverage. Maxwell had to float that over the top, and Lippett makes a nice play.
Michigan State still has a heartbeat with 2:54 to go. Plenty of time even at this pace. Blitz coming. Maxwell unloads. He's only going to get about 4 yards on that to Lippett, and a solid tackle again by Devin Smith.
Now you have Wisconsin reeling because you've completely changed what you're calling. Now I think you can start getting Bell back into the run game here. You're starting to get, you're not going to have the vertical stretch because you're getting closer to the end line of the field. Start thinking about some draws or some quick tosses to Bell in here.
Maxwell wants a deep throw. Now he's got to run. This is what they asked him to do, is make plays, and Maxwell may have enough for a first down.
Well, they were going for, you could see he made the pump fake, and he was looking for Burbridge to the right on a corner. The coverage was terrific. There's Burbridge being covered, and this is what they want from Maxwell. If it's not there, tuck it and run. Good spot, by the way.
Bell to the 5. Back to that last play. Cromartie ran that pattern better than the receiver did.
No, he knew what was coming. And now 2nd and short, you've got to flip it. If you're going to go to the pass game, this becomes a passing down. Wisconsin is going to load the box against the run, and I think you let Maxwell throw it.
Clock running, 1:38 and counting. Michigan State has all 3 timeouts at its disposal. Maxwell is 7 out of 7 on this drive. There's Sims in motion. And they throw it away. I think they wanted Sims in the back of the end zone with that big body as a target, but he was covered up.
And 2nd and short, if you go to a spread shotgun, you're telling the defense right away what you're doing. You give them no idea that there might be a run on that. They liked what they had, obviously, but now you're in a situation, 3rd and short, you're obviously in 4-down territory. I think this is your rundown right here.
They can get a first down at the 1 to keep the drive alive. Players trying to get lined up right for Maxwell. Little shovel pass. Touchdown! Le'Veon Bell. And they had not run that play the entire game. What a great play call that was. Now just a point after away from tying it up, or would you go for 2?
No, I think you kick it.
What a play call. What a drive. And now Conroy for the point after and the tie. And Michigan State does what seemed impossible just 5 minutes ago. Well, you got to hand it to Michigan State. Had not scored a touchdown the entire ball game, and then with their back to the wall.
And I think as they go forward in the season, that drive right there, they need to can that. From play calling to effort to how Maxwell threw the ball, they need to can that, because that's as good as they've looked on offense in the last couple of ball games.
Now you've got to kick it to Abradaris, the very dangerous kick returner.
Now for Wisconsin, backup O'Brien in because Joel Stave hurt his shoulder earlier in the game, if you're just tuning in to see the end.
Returned from the 4 out to about the 22 by Kyle Zuliger. This one at most wouldn't be much more than that. And they go to the run. And now they're going to have to use one of those timeouts. And the crowd's not going to be really thrilled with that
Michigan
call.
State should use one here. They've got their 3. Why wouldn't you want them to punt?
I don't understand why either team isn't using a timeout. O'Brien has it batted down as he tried to go out in the flat, and Golston was the guy who got his hand up and knocked it down. It was intended for Monte Ball.
So you run the ball and it looks like you might run it out. Then you throw it and it's incomplete. The clock stops. Michigan State now gets a stop. They use one of their timeouts. They could get the ball back with 15 seconds, which is a couple of plays with a timeout or 2 in their hip pocket. I think you either run it out and go to overtime, but it seems like Wisconsin got stuck in that middle world, that not quite sure what they wanted to do.
Draw play to Ball. Trying to break it. He's across the 40 to about the 42.
Now they have to go. Go fast.
Gain of 13.
And they're going to be trying to get to about the 40-yard line. That's where Kyle French, their kicker, that's about his range.
4-man rush. O'Brien. Contact there. Very fortunate that there wasn't a flag as Johnny Adams was covering Jordan Frederick.
So now, and boy, that's a big loss if you lose Johnny Adams at this point in the game, because if we go to overtime, and remember he was hurt earlier, I'm not sure if it was that arm that he was dragging earlier when he came off, but this game feeling like it might go to overtime and you're losing your best cover guy potentially. But right now you need, if you are Wisconsin, call it 17, 18 yards. If 25 yards gets to a 50-yard attempt, so I think you want to cut that in half right now.
Only 19 seconds on the clock. Blitz coming. They want to make sure O'Brien can't do it. What a great call on the blitz as Ellsworth. They just had too many guys coming. They were going to make sure O'Brien had to throw it earlier or wasn't going to be able to throw it at all.
And if I was Wisconsin, I would have used my timeout there and tried to get Wisconsin to a 4th down.
You mean Michigan State to call it time?
Yeah, correct. I think Michigan State maybe could have used a timeout there. I mean, positive what if, send the punt team out, maybe we get a block. But I think Mark D'Antonio a little shocked that Wisconsin didn't quite look like they knew what they wanted to do here at the end of the ball game.
We'll be back to Camp Randall in a moment. Danny O'Brien at quarterback, taking over for the injured Joel Stave. Monte Ball hit by Golston in the backfield. Golston has made some big plays in the second half and then here in overtime. And if you have such run-oriented offenses as both of these teams do, you can take some shots. You can guess.
And this is exactly what William Golston, just a great get off, and there was just no way that Brian Wozniak, who's there trying to block him, can get on the edge. And I think that's a guy who knew the snap count on defense. That's what that looked like.
12 tackles for loss in 57 plays by the Michigan State defense. Here comes a blitz. O'Brien running away from it. Had his man and missed him. Derek Witt, the fullback, had a step on his defender, the linebacker Kyle Ellsworth, and O'Brien just flat missed him.
O'Brien was about to get a face full of Marcus Rush right as he threw this ball, but it looked to me like he should have been able. The problem is he throws this ball too hard. You've just got to lob that in there. He fires it. It's a little off the mark. If you lob it, you allow the fullback Watt to potentially run underneath of it. But I think he saw that 44 and wanted to get the ball out a little quickly.
If you don't get any more yardage from here, it's about a 43-yard field goal try, hardly a gimme. So O'Brien wants to throw and pick up some of that yardage, maybe more to the sideline, incomplete. Intended for Pedersen, knocked away by Isaiah Lewis. Crowd wanted a flag.
Well, all of the Wisconsin fans on this side of the field thought that Pedersen was interfered with. That's not pass interference at all. That's wonderful defense by Isaiah Lewis.
Yes, it is. This will be a 43-yard try. He's already hit from 39. Well within his range, his career long 46 yards. And with these offensive and defensive matchups, the pressure is on the field goal kickers, and French comes through.
But that's why you play defense first in overtime, because now you know if you're Michigan State, you know we scored a touchdown ball game, and now let's see if Michigan State goes back to the way they played it at the end of the game, where they threw it a bunch to set up the run. If they go back to Bell and make it an inside the tackle game, I think we're going to have field goals back and forth. I think Michigan State needs to come out and throw it just like they did on that last drive in the fourth quarter.
Do you, if you're a Michigan State team now, do you plan any different if you're on the road than you do at home? Or
more aggressively, I think, for sure. And that's why I think you just absolutely pull off the wraps, let Maxwell throw it. That's what got you into overtime.
Bell. Stutter step. Bell picks up 9.5 yards.
And here is where you try to throw your touchdown pass. The defense is thinking, oh man, we just gave up 9 yards, buckle down. I think getting a run formation here and have Lippett and Burbage run something into the end zone.
And Le'Veon Bell is the perfect play action guy, as big as he is.
And it's second and short. I think this is the play you go for.
He's the only setback. Wisconsin showing blitz. Instead, they'll give it to Bell. He's got the first down at the 14. Wisconsin simply does not lose here at Camp Randall. They've won 21 in a row. That's the second longest at FBS. LSU is the only team in the country with more, and you know how hard it is to win at Death Valley. Fresh set of downs. Bell again. Runs into his own man as they jammed up the front. Ran right up the back of Blake Treadwell, his left guard.
I just don't think this is the time for Michigan State to get conservative. You're on the road. You got some great momentum at the end of the half by spreading it out and letting Maxwell throw it and using Bell as a changeup. I don't think you want to continue to just try to get this between the tackles.
Michigan State trying to avoid falling to 4 and 5. Maxwell goes to the gun on second down. For the end zone, way too high. Closest guy to it was Benny Fowler, but he was well covered, and I think Maxwell threw that one away.
Well, now you're in an absolute throwing down. So you would expect, I would expect Wisconsin to play coverage here. So maybe the difference is Chris Ash, the defense coordinator, brings some pressure because you don't want Maxwell to be able to get something beyond the sticks. I think maybe you throw a fade or a slant to this inside receiver down here to the bottom.
Michigan State trying to keep this drive alive and not have to settle for a field goal try. Touchdown! A back shoulder throw to Benny Fowler and Andrew Maxwell with a perfect pass. And this sellout crowd is stunned. What a finish for Michigan State's offense. They had been throttled the entire game. They drive the length of the field in regulation to tie it. And then here in overtime, they shock Wisconsin with a touchdown pass.
And I think the lesson for Michigan State going forward in the season and into next year, spread it out a little bit. Let's see what Maxwell can do when we don't have everybody playing in a phone book, because the only offensive production they had was at the end of the game when they did that.
What he did was hit 10 of the last 12 for 2 touchdowns. Here's Janine.
Coach, congratulations. You know, somebody told Brett Bielema, if you didn't care who won these games, they're really fun to watch. But what are they like when you're the head coach?
Well, they're a little tight. I'll tell you that. They're a little tight. But I didn't think it'd get any closer than the ones we've had. But this was a great football game. And, you know, Wisconsin's great. And to win up here the first time we've done it since I've been the head coach. So, yeah, it's big.
You kind of seemed like you're changing up your offensive play calling here towards the end of the game. Tell us what made those drives successful.
Well, you know, we snuck a guy in up the post on him a little bit behind a guy, but bottom line, we just needed to create some things, and I thought Andrew Maxwell created at the end of the game, and we grew up a little bit today, and that's a positive thing for us.
Well, you know, it's funny you say Maxwell, because he told me we don't feel like a 4-4 team. What did you see from your team in this second half?
We're a 5-4 team. We're happy about it, so we'll go with that.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations.
What a terrific ending to this ball game at Wisconsin. The Spartans beat Wisconsin 16-13 in overtime.